Hey there, it's Mark from Men Who Bullet. Thanks for hanging out with me. Since I didn't get to do my live plan with me this week, I thought I would do a real quick video plan with me, just showing you how I set up my weekly spread. This is a little bit different than what I usually do. I went very much more minimalistic this week, sketched out an idea, and I just wanted to share with you how I got to this point, and then we'll go ahead and just kind of do the time lapse of me setting the rest of this up. So I'm doing this hexagonal weekly here. So what I did is I split my page in half, and then I just created these hexagons. I'll show you the spacing in just a minute. This is the Archer and Olive B5 size notebook. So if you have one of these at home, you'll be able to follow along and create this. If not, you just have to kind of shrink the measurements a little bit. You'll still find the center of your page. You could actually still do the same heights as what you have here. The dot spacing will just be a little bit different for you. So what I'll do is go back to my grid spacing back here in the back of my notebook, which I keep for references. And what I did here is I just split my page. Let's go ahead and just put it like this here. So the first thing I did is I went over here to my verticals, and I just found the center of my page. So that center of that page is 23 squares down. And I just made a mark on my page just to show where that was. Then what I did is I'm setting up a Monday through weekend, really. It's a Monday through Friday with a Saturday, Sunday split over on the right-hand side. So to create that over here with my columns, I'm just using this spacing here, which is 10 squares with one in between. So as you're setting this up for yourself, you'll do the same exact thing. You'll count over 10 spaces. You'll have one in between, and then it'll take you over to the edge of your page. And you'll do the same exact thing over on this side of the page. And I'm just going to do it real quick because you're going to actually set this up for yourself. This does not look right. Let's make it at least look close, right? It doesn't have to be exactly the spacing, but that looked a little bit silly. So you go across like this. Now, I didn't set up my hexagons exactly 10 width. I actually brought them in a little bit more than what's there because as I was drawing this out, and this is always why I always recommend using pencil first, is that when I drew the hexagons all the way out here to the side, they looked very misshapen because they were so wide. So what I ended up doing is I ended up just coming in 2 spaces from each side. So we went in 2 and 2. So really, this is only going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you're playing along at home and you want to create this, this is what this would look like for you when you actually get into it. So it ends up being 2 squares on the left-hand side with 6 in between, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 5, 6, 2. So you can see why this is a lot easier to go with than trying to do something like this. So if you wanted to do that and just kind of go right into it, that's what that would look like. When I had the center of the page here, I ended up just going up 1, 2, 3, 4 squares to the top, and then we did 4 to the bottom here from where that center is. And that created our hexagon. And then all I did was just connect all of these lines here. This is in the center of the 10 that we were with, so it's 5 over in the dot. That's right in the center of the page, and that created these hexagons. I know it seems very like convoluted, but honestly, when I just created these 3 quick boxes with pencil and I just made these marks, it just made a lot more sense. So I just recommend doing that. Now, what's cool about this is there's not a whole lot more to this other than really marking in each of these lines. You can have some fun with numbers and letters. I'm actually going to use one of my number stamps just to stamp inside of here. But once you get past that, that's really about it that you have to do for this kind of weekly. So it ends up being really quick. All right, so now these are all drawn out. If at any point you're like, Mark, why did you do that? Why didn't you just use a stencil? You absolutely could. This one is just a little bit smaller than my dot grid that I have here, and I wanted it to match up to my lines just because I'm like that. But know that you can also keep it a lot easier for yourself. You would just find the center of each one of your columns that you set up the point to where you want it to be there in the middle, and then trace that out, and that can be a lot easier for you if you'd like. Now what I'll be doing for each one of these stamps, I'll be setting them up, and each one will go inside of here. We'll start on Monday, and then we'll go all the way through a Saturday, Sunday split, which I'm going to use smaller size numbers so I can just split this out evenly, and I'll just draw a line across here to know that we're splitting this out. Pretty easy. I'm going to be using this acrylic block stamp here. I love this one because it actually has a grid on it here, so I can make sure that my numbers are on here the right way and they're on that line. I always like to flip it to make sure I'm actually doing the right thing, so I'm not putting in 41 instead 14. So we'll go ahead and stamp that right in the middle. All right, now that I have the entire week here, the next thing I'm going to do is just adding some small little details. So I'm going to take one of these Faber-Castell fine liners. This is the 0.3, so a nice fine point on it. And I'm just going to do some stippling around the corners here. Just add a little bit of texture. Certainly something you do not have to do if you don't want to. Instead of adding the drop shadow inside, since I did the stippling here, I'm actually going to do just a slight little drop shadow underneath the outside of here. So this will just be this cold gray color that I'm using, another Faber-Castell. This is a brush pen, so it goes on really nicely as we go through. And this creates a super light drop shadow around the edge. If you feel like it's too light, you can always go over it twice or 3 times and get you that color that you're looking for. It's ever so slight. I can see it pretty well. I don't know if you'll be able to, but you can kind of see it on there. Just looks really cool on the page. Now, all I have to do is go into my week, start filling stuff out, and like I said, I'll be keeping it pretty much contained inside each of these lines, keeping notes and tasks separated if I need to, which I usually do, just to really keep focused on what I need to work on each day as I go through. If you like something like this, you're going to absolutely love this playlist here. I love to take different approaches to my bullet journal weekly spreads, and here's an entire playlist for you to check out more really cool designs. I'll chat with you very soon. Happy planning.